Effectively optimizing social media functionalities for growth and connectivity purposes requires accurate comprehension of the dark side of the relevant platforms. This dark side, as outlined by Beccarella and colleagues, includes privacy abuse, fake news, witch hunts, trolling, addictive use, and cyberbullying. The functional components of social media platforms, as presented in the Honeycomb Framework of social media functionality, include identity, conversations, sharing, presence, relationships, reputation, and groups. In a nutshell, identity refers to the extent users reveal themselves through their profiles or simply the unique markers of individuals on social media. Sharing refers to exchanging user-generated content. Presence encompasses the resources used in determining whether a user or an identity is online or not. Relationships explore how users associate with each other within digital spaces. Reputation is the extent to which users are aware of others' trustworthiness. Groups refer to the extent to which users form online communities. Massive technological advancements present both positive and negative outcomes that could either be intentional or unintentional. For instance, the invention of dynamite, also called Nobel's blasting powder, by Alfred Nobel in 1866 completely revolutionized the construction and mining industries. An accident in Nobel's lab led to the discovery of making nitroglycerin less volatile to handle and easier to detonate. Nobel envisioned faster infrastructure development through increased ease of building roads, drilling tunnels, blasting rocks, and completing other labor-intensive activities in construction and mining. However, dynamite found its use in warfare where militaries weaponized the explosions. Nobel was considered a pacifist, with his views on social justice and peace being considered radical during his time. The guilt of watching dynamite being used in warfare inspired Nobel to start a trust fund that advocates for the safe use of science and scientific inventions. Most of Nobel's fortune was used to create the prestigious Nobel Prizes that acknowledge tremendous contributions to mankind across various fields. Social media has increased and decreased human connectivity in equal measure. Noteworthy, combining social media, mobile devices, and the internet has turned the world into a global village where shared information or content reaches extremely wide audiences, a phenomenon that had never been witnessed. However, the same combination has increased over-reliance on technology, which has massively reduced physical socialization over the recent past. According to Beccarella and colleagues, this occurrence is perfectly documented by the shallowing hypothesis, which maintains that social media activities such as conversations and sharing reduce reflective thinking and promote superficial thoughts that contribute to cognitive and moral triviality. Onisset and Lafreniere maintain that the evolution of media technologies has contributed to the shallow hypothesis by promoting shallow thoughts associated with moral shallowness. The study by the authors examined the association between texting frequency, social media usage, the Big Five personality traits, and moral shallowness. The findings in the study uncovered correlation between texting frequency, social media usage, and the shallowing hypothesis. Noteworthy, study participants who texted regularly and actively used social media presented lesser likelihood of engaging in reflective thought, perceived moral life goals as less important, and reported extroversion. It is evident that the brightness or darkness of social media differs from one individual to the next, primarily based on personal experiences with the various platforms. Social media has been used for all sorts of things, ranging from positive social change such as awareness about medical issues, to negative activities such as cyberbullying and human trafficking. Notably, cyberbullying encompasses intentionally harming individuals, while oversharing information or created content has been associated with increased levels of social anxiety. The accessibility of social media implies that some users possess more technological knowledge compared to others, which raises the risk of cyber attacks. The Honeycomb Framework is used to study both the positive and negative aspects of social media. Identity refers to unique markers that distinguish users on social media platforms. Joining groups identified with specific topics or objectives is also a way users present subjective information. User profiles are at the heart of interaction requirements for most social media platforms. Social sites advocate for their users to share as much information as possible, but the amount of publicized information solely depends on the user. Other social media functionality components, including conversation and relationship, affect social media users' personalities and characters. The effects of other components of the Honeycomb Framework on identity has reduced users' control over the information they share knowingly, thereby exposing them to privacy and safety issues. Conversation, reputation, and sharing have greatly contributed to stalking online. Employers search for potential employee profiles online, despite the known privacy and safety issues. Conversation refers to the frequency of communication among social media users. Baccarella and colleagues observe that direct messaging, commenting, replying, and liking facilitate communication across popular social media platforms such as Facebook and Twitter. Other sites, such as Reddit, which ranks 6th among the most visited websites in the world, and blogs, provide room for more detailed communication among users. Baccarella and colleagues note that inaccurate, excessive, and aggressive engagements characterize the negative side of the conversation functional block. Particularly, threats and bullying are common among people with different opinions on the same topic. The negative side of conversations reduces quality and causes short or long-term outcomes, such as mental health and esteem issues. Conversations on social media are also affected negatively by robots and other advancements that mimic human behavior. For instance, Microsoft's Tay chatbot was taught racial slurs by some social media users. Trolling is a common approach to deviating the course of a conversation by provoking members of a specific group who share reputations and relationships. Baccarella and colleagues argue that trolls do not focus on provoking thoughts but quote-unquote entertaining people who are amused with trolls. Trolling involves leaving touchy messages and sensitive comments that affect other users negatively. Fake news also entails sharing unsubstantiated information intentionally, also called disinformation, or unintentionally, also referred to as misinformation. This is what fake news and trolling look like on the Honeycomb Framework. Sharing encompasses exchanging user-generated content across various platforms. Flickr and Instagram greatly focus on exchanging images, while YouTube is primarily used for video sharing purposes. Thus, different platforms create the necessary structures that facilitate exchanging user-generated content. The characteristics of sharing as a dark side of social media include distributing disturbing content, oversharing, and copyright violations. Disturbing content is particularly sensitive for younger social media users since most platforms offer little to no restrictions when signing up. Shocking, disgusting, horrifying, and pornographic content always finds its way to users' eyes, with little to no restrictions. Some platforms, such as Facebook and Twitter, have recently introduced blurs before sensitive content, but the blurs are erased with a simple click. A lot of content has been taken down, such as videos on YouTube, for violation of copyright and production requirements. The site has its own content creation requirements and jurisdictions also have similar media-related policies. Copyright requirements present serious complexities for social media users, especially for those with little to no information on the legal requirements of content creation. Presence allows social media users to determine whether others are available online or not. Check-in declarations and Internet Protocol or location information on mobile devices allow users to track others using social media. Presence facilitates synchronous communication, which is characterized by intimacy and immediacy that influence valuable interactions. The dark side of the presence functional block revolves around users being tracked and followed without their consent. For instance, Baccarella and colleagues note that the default settings of Facebook Messenger's applications permitted the collection and display of users' geographical location. This phenomenon created massive privacy concerns from users, which were largely founded on issues with personal safety. The Marauders Map Google Chrome extension was developed by a Harvard University student doing mathematics and computer science. The extension collected and publicized user data, which resulted in invading Internet users' privacy. The relationship block focuses on how users relate with each other online. The association between users determines the motive of engagement or interaction, through sharing and conversations. For example, LinkedIn relationships are professionals, Facebook relationships are based on friending, and the relationships on Twitter and Instagram are based on following. Relationships on social media enable different types of interactions whose outcomes could either be positive or negative. The negative outcomes include harassment, stalking, cyberbullying, and blackmail. Particularly, people who open themselves to online relationships risk being exposed by users who could be establishing connections and creating relationships for dubious reasons. This risk comes with the burden of blackmail, where users could suffer emotional and financial consequences. Heavy social media users are more likely to be targets of being exploited online because of the perceptions that they have better lives. Reputation entails the extent to which users identify with others' stances online. Baccarella and colleagues identify functional, social, and expressive reputations as some of the types of social media reputations. Functional reputation encompasses the display of competence, social reputation demonstrates social norms, and expressive reputation encompasses being inspiring, fascinating or attractive. The common markers of reputation include number of friends or followers, sentiments in posts or content shared, views or likes on shared content, and general user status across various platforms. Sharing presents the greatest risk for reputation on social platforms. Particularly, sharing inappropriate or offensive content potentially damages one's online and offline reputation in a split second, while it takes a very long time to build a solid and credible reputation. The nature of a post, whether based on the truth or rumors, has the potential of ruining or building a reputation. The level of outrageousness in a post has a direct relationship with the degree of spreading. Sharing what is termed as disingenuous content on social media has caused businesses, politicians, and other social media users to apologize publicly or even deactivate their account. The significance of online reputations in modern professional environments is evidenced by employers examining potential employees' online profiles. Users who have damaged their online reputations have offered some common explanations, such as being under the influence, being emotional, posting for the wrong reasons, and misjudging their audiences. Groups on social media refer to users' commitment to joining and creating online communities based on shared interest and activities. Open and closed groups on social media facilitate entertainment, socialization, and information sharing. Groups enable users to grow their networks and increase accessibility to their content. Being part of a group shows a user's interests, which also builds a user's reputation. In-group out-group bias limits the size and functionality of groups and their users to individual identities and beliefs. Those who fit in groups are glorified, while those who do not are despised. These group dynamics are evident in excluding some users in conversations and lack of empathy for those who do not belong to a specific group. Heated debates around race and gender present the ugly side of groups on social media. Kietzman and colleagues present the 4Cs guidelines for corporates to optimize social media in achieving and sustaining growth. The 4Cs include cognize, congruity, curate, and chase. The Cognize guideline advocates for firms to comprehend social media platforms using the Honeycomb Framework. Notably, it is important to identify the conversations surrounding a particular brand or firm going on across any of the existing platforms. Tracking or monitoring conversations is fundamental for directing the relevant discussions. It is a common occurrence for firms to use influencers in promoting their online presence by widening their reach. Analyzing competitors' activities is also essential in determining the activities to undertake or avoid on social media platforms. Congruity requires firms to establish strategies that balance between the goals of a firm and the functional blocks of a particular platform. The functionalities should be able to effectively meet the needs of the business. The relevant strategy considerations include customer focus, sales requirements, connectivity, evaluation metrics, and the measures of success. Kietzman and colleagues maintain that the phrase customer service is the new marketing shifts firms' focus from controlling conversations to customer-oriented service and prioritizing their happiness, as well as their contributions. The social media strategy should align with all the other strategies designed to meet an organization's goals. Advertising on social media establishes conversations, encourages sharing, and builds relationships. Firms acting as curators encompasses determining the perfect timing to engage in online conversations and the right person to do so. The right person in this case is someone who is active on social media and would present a good image of the company online. Social media guidelines are essential in directing employees in their online interactions to avoid ruining a company's reputation. Curating conversations, especially using research and positive reviews, enhances a company's online presence. Most companies prefer hiring social media consultants to avoid common mistakes made by platform users. Kietzman and colleagues argue that consultants ascertain that opportunities are maximized and risks are minimized. Controlling employee and customer interaction guides establishing and maintaining customer relations. Chase for information encompasses firms examining their respective environments to make the most of the velocity in conversations for appropriate control. Kietzman and colleagues explained that the Honeycomb Framework present the ecology of social media and corporates could use it in understanding the natural process of platform evolution. Continuously utilizing the framework when using social media allows companies to eliminate any engagement assumptions and track the evolution of social media. It is essential to follow firm-related conversations online to maintain a positive image, again, by optimizing opportunities and minimizing risks.